Hello again, herb lovers. Today I want to talk to you about drying and preserving some of the herbs that you've been growing in your herb pot. So here is the Vietnamese mint, which we all know has had several haircuts over the season, but it should be coming to its end. So I've taken another good bunch of clippings, and one of the good ways that you can dry your herbs is just to hang them in small bunches, and elastic bands are really good for this. So you just wrap an elastic band around the top of your bunch, and the reason that they're good is because as the herbs start to dry and the stems start to shrink, then the band will just close up on the stems so things won't fall down or fall out of your little bunch. So you can just hook a little piece of string in the end of your band, or just hook it through the center of your bunch and just hang that somewhere out of the sunlight that is dry and airy, and your herbs will dry beautifully. And it's nice to have a few little bunches of herbs hanging up around the place. So you could easily take this bunch here, put an elastic band around the top and hang them next to your mint here, and you will have lots of little bunches of herbs that are drying nicely for you to save and use over winter. So we're going to hang this up for a month. We're going to leave this out on a flat surface to dry, and we're going to show you in a month what they look like and what we're going to do with them. Welcome back, herb lovers. It has been more than a month, I think, since we filmed the first half of this video. So we have in front of us now a whole lot of dried herbs that we were going to show you how they turned out. So to refresh my memory, probably more than your memory, we have got some mint that we have tied in a bunch quite neatly with a rubber band. And as you can see, all of the stalks are held quite firmly by the rubber band, because as the herb has dried, the rubber band has tightened, so we haven't lost any out of our little bunch. We have got some oregano, which is also on a little rubber band, so we haven't lost any of the bunch here either, and it is dried beautifully. And we have got some nasturtium that we tied with a string, and as you can see, as the nasturtium stalks have dried, and we may need to get a little bit of a close-up in that, the string has not shrunk, so there is a good chance, if you try and dry your herbs in this way, that you're going to lose some of them as they fall out on the floor while they're drying. And I'm going to come back to this because this is not a good example of a dried herb, and we're going to talk about that in a minute as well. And here is our lemon balm, which has dried beautifully on its little bit of paper. So hanging, and just to show you a good and bad example of drying nasturtium, I've also got some nasturtium here that I dried the other day flat. We should have dried this nasturtium flat, because what you can see here is the colour of this herb is not very good. There are brown herbs. There are some green, some colour still in here. And when you compare this to the herb that's dried flat and dried more quickly, you can see how much better this herb is. So for large herbs like nasturtium that have got a lot of water in them, you're better off cutting them off at the stem and drying them flat, because they will dry a lot more quickly and they will hold their colour. And that's really what you want when you're drying a herb. You want it to dry quickly, you want it to retain as many of its properties as you can, and you also want the scrunch test. Now the scrunch test, I've got our lemon balm here. Let's give it a scrunch and see if you can hear it. Hopefully you can hear it breaking up. and drying, because we're going to want to break this up and squish it up and have it break into little pieces so we can keep it in our bottles here of dried herbs. God, and it smells amazing. It smells really, really nice. Now we have got our oregano here, which we can do the scrunch test with as well. You can see it's scrunching nicely up into the bowl, and it smells delicious too. And you can, if you want, you can leave the stalks in with something like this. I often do, or you can strip everything off the stalks. We've got bits of oregano going everywhere. But this is a very, very potent herb. It's got a lot of aromatics in the oils, and those oils actually stay in the herb once it's dried. All we've done basically is remove the water from the herb, and we've done that so that we can store it, obviously, and this is one of my favourite ways for storing herbs. So we've got a good amount of oregano here. It's dried nicely. We'll be able to pop that into a bottle or into a jar. And then we have got our mint here. Now, it's got such big stalks in it, this mint. I would probably just strip it off the stalks. Easy to do. You know, just play with it, break it up, pull it off the stalks. Some people pull these herbs off the stalk before they dry them, so that then they can just dry them flat and they're not drying so much material, which is what I've done with this nasturtium on the side here. But you can hear all these herbs crunching, so that means that they're dry. You know, they haven't got any mold on them. They're not looking awful. They've kept their colour, which is a really important thing, because what I do want to show you is an example of some very badly dried herbs. So if I bring this back again, this is the green of the mint here from a well-dried herb. This, I know, is a mint as well. It's been badly dried and it's been left for far too long, hung up in a dusty garage, which is not what you want to do. And it's pretty much unusable. It's actually going out onto the compost heap after we're finished here. But look at the difference. This is why you want to take care about the way that you dry your herbs, and dry them quickly, because you need them to retain their colour. And I'll pop a photograph in here of some nasturtium that I dried last year and some nasturtium that I've dried this year, and they've been dried in exactly the same way, and they've been stored correctly in a jar, in the dark, in the cupboard at a good even temperature. But you can see how much degradation there is even in a year when you're carefully storing things properly yourself. And I've got another example here of something that honestly I don't even know what it is. And this is another good reason too for putting labels on everything that you do. I have a suspicion that it might be some root, something that I was trying to dry, and I left the leaves on it, but quite frankly now I don't have a clue. It's dangerous for me to even think about using it because I've got no idea what it is anymore. So that's going out on the compost heap as well. So I bang on about labelling things. This is the reason that we label. We grow, we prepare, and we store the best way that we can. So there you have it. Drying herbs. It's fun, it's rewarding, and it's really practical. If you've got any questions about this or the process, leave them in the comments below. And if there's anything else you'd like us to talk about or show you in future videos, leave a note below and we can get back to you. Love and lettuce, and bye for now.